Welcome to the Sisters Uncensored podcast, where we get into everything from childhood trauma to millennial adulting and all things in between.
We share crazy stories from the past and present to help us cope with the insanity that is our lives.
By sharing our perspectives, we hope to bring some relatability, laughter, and unsolicited advice that can help you survive the messiness of life along with us.
My name's Jessica Labita. I'm a millennial mom, wife, and marketing professional, and I am absolutely insane.
My name is Ashley Leneve. I am a millennial stay-at-home mom, avid golfer, and too mouthy for my own good.
We are real sisters, and this is Sisters Uncensored. Take this trip with us. All right, welcome to the Sisters Uncensored podcast. This week we have with us Nikki and Alyssa from the Mind Over Mom podcast, and they have an amazing community of women where they support moms, and we're so excited to have them here and talk to them today.
Yay, welcome ladies.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here. I'm so excited that we reached out and we can have this collaboration.
Yeah, this is awesome. So we've been listening to your show. I listened on my ride to work last week, a couple episodes, and then we were listening on our way in here. I love, you guys have such a calming presence where I think we're crazy and ratchet.
It's
and
so true.
I was it was very relaxing to hear you speaking about just motherhood and life and the different things. I loved hearing about your personal experiences with PPD and just how you work with your kids and some of the just shit that we go through as moms. It's good. It was good stuff.
Very relatable.
Well, I genuinely appreciate the calming presence because I don't think that's something I've ever got in my life because I'm very loud and very all over the place. So thank you, ladies.
It's true. You guys do have a very it's almost a very
yin and yang.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it was this is a nice soothing way to open up a show as opposed to us where we're like, hey, what's up, bitches? Oh, we're back. No.
It's true. Funny because Nikki and I are so opposite. So when you say that, I'm like, yeah, I can see how I have a calming presence, but she is chaos. She's the definition of chaos. Her household is the definition of chaos. So I think it's our dynamic together.
Okay. I've heard you say this on every episode that you thrive in chaos. I do too. Actually, for me, I love, I work way better just in life generally when everything's pressure. But I don't know, as I'm starting to get older, I feel like it's starting to get to me a little more. And I'm I don't want it anymore. I'm I need to let shit go that's making me extra anxious because I can't handle.
I just need to be hyper organized. As long as things are organized and it's a controlled chaos, I can deal with it. Otherwise, I don't like all that. I can't.
I know.
I'm I'm too tired for this shit. I'm just too tired.
So tell us a little bit just about you guys, your background, how you got started doing what you're doing. I know it's a story you've probably told many times, but I don't know that our audience has heard it. So we'd love to just kind of get a feel.
Yeah. We love telling our story because it's you look back and it's nostalgic. But Nikki and I have been friends since third grade, actually. So we were best friends growing up through high school. And then after high school, I went off to college. We just went our separate ways. And then I was in the hospital giving birth to my daughter, gave birth to her. And then I checked my phone and Nikki announced that she was pregnant while I was in the hospital. And I was like, oh, yes, we can come back together again. And we did. And so that was the start of us rekindling our friendship. And then I had a really hard time in motherhood. My kids are 14 months apart. So my daughter was 6 months old when I found out I was pregnant with my son. And it was just, I spiraled so hard downhill with postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression. But everyone in my life was just motherhood's supposed to be this hard. Deal with it. Get over it. Yeah. And I'm I don't know, And then I hit a point where I was okay, I need to make a change. So I got on an antidepressant and my life just I just felt so much better. Yeah, I was wow.
Same, it's a lifesaver.
I just can't believe that nobody would have said that to me. When everyone knew, I guess maybe they didn't know how bad I was suffering, but looking back. So I started a blog after, and I was just like, you know what, motherhood is really hard. I'm really anxious. And Nikki was like one of the first ones to reach out to me and was like,
Yeah, I texted her pretty much out of the clear blue because COVID had happened, so it kind of caused us a little bit of a disconnect in that time frame that Alyssa was just talking about, because obviously we had the really young kids, we didn't want to get anybody together, whatever. So when I read Alyssa's blog, I was like, I'm gonna text her. So I said, let's start a podcast. And she was like, for real? Like, for real, you really want to start a podcast? Because like, I know how you are, and you could suggest something and then we could never circle back to it. I'm like, no, people need to hear this. People need to know all about like the different things that go on in motherhood that nobody talks about. To break the stigma, like be vulnerable. I feel like authenticity and like what you're going through, you never know how it's gonna help somebody else. And like, while the blog was great, I don't like to read. So I was like, what better? You can listen on Spotify, you can watch us on YouTube. This is great.
Yeah.
So we ended up going forward with it. But 2 years prior to that, I had went to a networking event with my friend. I was the hype girl. I was like, I really just want to go to support you. I have no business in mind, whatever. I had a couple glasses of Prosecco and I was like, one day I'm going to start a podcast. And they're like, about what? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. And then I feel like, voila, Alyssa talks about this. And I'm like, this is it. Dream team, baby.
Nice.
And that's brought us here. So
stars aligned.
I love it.
Yeah.
She came over with a notebook. She took it very seriously. We came up
have
with
a
the
notebook.
name.
We do have a notebook.
But like for her to be carrying around a notebook, I was like,
Because you're the
all right.
chaos.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's fine.
funny.
So then we started this from pure scratch. We literally started recording in our car. So
Wow.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. Just we would like escape from our houses, go sit at like a beach, and we would record in our car. And most of season one was recorded in a car.
Wow, get out of here. I never would have thought that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because remember the time was like early on, we were sitting at the beach because it's like very zen there, very calming.
It was like our spot.
Our spot. So we would record there. And this car like just pulls up, bumping loud music. So in the background of our very beautiful conversation that we were having, you heard all of the
It's like a train
the
driving
commotion.
by.
It was,
Yeah.
and at that point we were like, editing? No, we're just gonna release it like that.
Yeah.
I love
Whatever.
I guess it's real.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
We are who we are. Take it or leave it. No, I love that.
That's great.
I love that.
I agree that there's a lot of stuff though that you guys discuss on your podcast that like, at least when it comes to motherhood, there's so many things nobody tells you. Like nobody tells you what to expect. Feel like in the grand scheme of things, everybody's really winging it. Let's be honest. You know,
Do your best.
Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. But there's so many things that at least I found nobody talks about, nobody tells you about after giving birth, like it just all of it. You know what I mean? With the postpartum, I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm just gonna be mind over matter, mind over matter, mind over matter. That was like my mentality for the whole thing. But then, like you said, like different things come into play where you have COVID. Like who expects a freaking global pandemic where you can't leave your house? You know, like what the hell is that? Lots of different things. But point being, I can't imagine going through that on top of everything going on in the world that was just like absolute chaos, and being a first-time new mom. It's a lot. It's a lot for everybody. I feel like that was like a total glitch in like time for people where there's a lot to learn from that. I don't know.
It screwed so much shit up. I mean,
It
just
really
generally,
did.
like, so I remember you having your daughter like during that time frame, and it was weird, and like this, even just to socialize her when it was like time, because it was like a couple years of weird, right?
Yeah.
That like, I don't know, it was hard for you, I feel like. And I remember you coming to my son's birthday party and like dropping presents on the road and like spraying everything in Lysol.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
She had this like baby in the car, wouldn't take her out, like, because everyone was uber paranoid at the time. And it's like, you don't know what's happening. Like,
And they have no immune
it's just
system.
like, it's one of those rare times, I think, where it's like, no, parenting and having babies is so hard just
In
generally
general.
than doing it with the pandemic and then trying to raise a child through all that uncertainty with the already existing uncertainty that comes with being a new mom, right? Like, you're like, what the fuck? It's like the Twilight Zone, literally.
Yeah, that was nuts.
And now that we can like look back at it, that's how I feel anyway. I'm like, it was like the Twilight Zone. And even for myself, raising younger kids at that time and trying to do like virtual school, because my kids are a little older than you guys. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I can't be a teacher and a professional and a mom and all the other things that I need, like a housekeeper and a chef. Like, I was like, I'm gonna lose my shit. It was crazy. It was crazy town.
Yeah.
Thank God that's over.
It was very lonely too. I mean, that was a big thing. I feel like when you have kids, like, you know, your mom comes or your sister comes or your friends come and like they give you a little break. You know what I mean? Some kind of help, something, you know what I mean? Because you're drowning in all this new information, I don't know, or experience. But there was none of that. Like you got none of that. It was very lonely. I felt very lonely anyway. That was me.
No, I feel like I'm a lonely person when I'm not surrounded by people. And that was my biggest thing too with the podcast was like, I want to create this village, this community. And that's what we strive to do because motherhood can be very, very lonely. And when you're going through it and you don't have somebody to talk to or like resources or just knowledge, or we say it all the time, people that have been there or people that are going to be there, it's nice to bounce things off of each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So how old are both of your kids?
So my daughter is 7 and my son will be 6 on November 3rd.
Okay.
And I have 2 boys. One is 6 and the other one is 4.
Okay.
Nice.
And
Okay.
my daughter's 5. And then I have a 15-year-old daughter. She'll be 15 at the end of the month, and a 12-year-old son.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a little ahead of like where you guys are at this point in time, which I think I love that because I love that. I
She gives me like a
I love
a
having
light at the end of the
friends who have
tunnel.
kids who are older than mine too, that like help me through the weird shit that happens. And like now I'm like parenting teenagers, and I'm like, this is interesting.
It's
So,
different. I feel like every stage is different. Like, and they're all probably hard, but like a different kind of hard. Like when my kids were babies, I just felt like I was drowning. Like I drowned in motherhood. I had no clue who I was. I had no clue. So I stayed home with my kids. That was always my dream. Like this big dream was, I want to stay home with my kids. I don't want to put them in daycare. And I got that, and I got to live that dream. And in the middle of that dream, it turned into like an actual nightmare for me.
Right.
Like it was.
People underestimate what it's like to be home with kids all day long. They have no idea. No, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I'm telling you, it's.
And
After
I will
a few
never
days, I'm like, oh my god,
ever be a stay-at-home mom. Ever.
I remember, like, before I had my daughter, I went to our cousin's house, and she was a stay-at-home mom. She had 2 young boys, and she invited me over for dinner, and I was like, okay, great, yeah, I'll come. So I came after work, and I'm just watching, like, her trying to cook, these 2 fighting, this one crying, this is happening, this is breaking, this is falling, whatever. I'm just sitting on the couch, and I'm like, I'd rather just go back to the office. This is a lot. This is a lot to take in. I mean, it is the greatest gift to be able to be home and raise your kids. I really think that it is. It's few and far between at this point, but people really do underestimate how much goes into that.
Yeah.
Do you stay home, Nikki?
Yes, I do. And I actually was the complete opposite of Alyssa. I didn't have like these big dreams of becoming a mom. I wasn't even truly sure if I was going to be able to be a mom because of a diagnosis that I had when I was younger. And when I did get pregnant, I was shocked because we were 14 weeks along when I found out, which is like pretty far into the pregnancy.
Yeah.
So like when we sat down and we're like, what are we gonna do? Am I gonna go back to work? Are we gonna pay for daycare? I was like, no, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna be a stay-at-home mom. And I had the opposite experience. I loved being home with them, but I wanted the social aspect. So like with my first, I was great because I took him everywhere. He was my best buddy. COVID was when it hit me because I was like, all right, I have a 2.5-year-old and a baby and we're gonna go adventure. And then the world's like, hell no, you're not.
Yeah, you're stuck.
You're stuck in your 4 walls by yourself.
Yeah.
Because like my husband had to go to work. His job didn't shut down and I was like losing it just from being really physically stuck in the house all day. And we were just talking about this the other day. I did yoga very early when I had both of them. He would walk in the door. The yoga studio didn't shut down during COVID, thank God. Because he would walk in the door and I would be like, all right, I need to relax. I need some time for myself. And it wasn't so much that it was being home, because I was so grateful for the opportunity that I didn't even know that I was going to have. It was the fact that I couldn't do anything, and I didn't have a village, and like no one was coming over, and I just didn't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah.
Like joked about how like somebody said, you know, you could have talked to Alexa. That freaking stupid robot like
my
thing.
gosh,
I'm like,
no.
I'm not doing that,
I'm like,
no.
I mean, I got crazy enough to where I was like talking to myself, but I was not gonna talk to Alexa. Not a good.
That's
like,
a new
yeah,
line.
it was a therapist, right? At some point or another, had that conversation, and I was like, hell no. Rather talk to a freaking plant. I got rid of
It's
Alexa.
alive. I mean, come on.
Right.
Good Lord.
I got rid of Alexa because, you know, the two boys, they would like put on whatever crazy songs
Yeah,
that
my
they want to
kids
hear.
did that.
That thing lasted 10 minutes in my house.
Wait until they start asking her to do their homework.
Oh, she's gone already.
That's what mine was doing. I was like,
She was doing that at like 8.
we're done with this.
My kids
Alexa,
do
what's
that.
this plus this? I was
That's
like,
exactly-
you're supposed to know that, not Alexa, you little
Yeah.
cheater. See what you're doing here.
That was pretty funny. I remember how it happened.
It was pretty funny.
That's good. So what did you guys do before you had kids? Like work-wise, anything?
I worked at a bank.
Okay.
I was a bank teller.
Okay.
I loved my career. I was a police dispatcher, actually.
Wow.
I could so see
I could see that, too,
That
yeah.
fits your personality totally.
I loved it. I really did. And I tried to go back part-time a little bit after I had kids. I like dabbled in it. But your perspectives changed so much.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't be there. And I feel like when I was a police dispatcher for so long, the police officers, the people on the road, the people I was sitting next to, they became family. And like my head just was not in the game when I tried to go back, because all I could think about, what are my kids doing? Are they okay? They need me. I should
Yeah,
leave. And I'm like, my head's not in the game. I can't be here.
Yeah.
So I ended up giving it up.
Okay.
Would I ever go back to it? I don't know. Everybody tells me that I was meant to do that job, but we'll see.
You were also meant to be a podcaster, so it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, clearly.
I
Very
love
true.
podcasting, so.
It's fun. So parenting styles, what would you guys say? I gather from the two of you that you're very yin and yang and like different.
So different.
So what's your,
Everything.
do you have similar or different parenting styles? Like what would you say is your parenting style?
I think whatever she says, I'm gonna say the exact opposite. Nikki's boys are, imagine her energy in 2 little boys. Her house is chaos.
It's not chaos. There's a lot of like excitement.
It's chaos.
It's excitement. It's different than Alyssa's style. It's funny. So Alyssa has 2 dogs, and they drive me nuts. And she's like, I don't understand how my 2 dogs drive you nuts, but you live in a house with them. I always say the person I feel bad for in my house is my husband, because he's more reserved, more laid back, more like I can chill and watch a TV show for hours and not be bothered and be fine.
Yeah.
And the 3 of us are like, da, 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 da. Like a car ride with us is crazy. But I enjoy it. I say God gave me 2 boys for a reason. Would I love a little girl? 100%. But they gave me the boys. They're wild. They're crazy. But yes, everything is different. I go to Alyssa's house. I'll be like, "Where's your kids?" She's like, "Oh, they're in their rooms playing." I'm like, "Playing with what?" Because like my kids are like, "Play with me.
daughter's
Let's
like
play.
that.
You want to play hide and seek? Want to do this? Want to do that?
Yep.
What should we do today?" Like their new thing is they wake up on the weekends and they're like, "So what plans do you have for us today?"
I love
I'm
it.
like, "I don't have plans."
We've got some balls.
My daughter wakes up on the weekends. She's like, "Do we have to go anywhere today?" And I'm like,
Her new thing is she comes home from school and she just takes her pants right off. And she's 5. Yeah. And she's the funniest thing, but she's just like, it's a no pants party anymore. Like
"Yeah,
when she gets home, she's like,
I'm
I'm
like,
done.
I get it, girl. Who wants to wear pants? I don't want to wear pants either."
Yeah.
While she comes home, she strips off her pants. She goes right to the pantry, wants a snack, and she's like leaned against the door, like, "What am I gonna have? Pantsless." I'm
She's like an
"Whatever,
old
girl."
man with like, but in a
Do
cute
you?
little toddler girl body. It's so funny.
She's
I mean,
funny as hell.
but she gets it.
Al
Like
Bundy.
when you're home, you don't need to wear pants when you're home.
No.
And if you're wearing pants, they should be sweatpants.
Exactly.
That was my thought.
Yeah.
We get home, she's like, "Can we put on some comfies?" And like, to her, that's a nightgown because she doesn't want pants on. I'm like, "Girl, I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it." I don't know. I think my daughter's a lot like your kids, where I think also because she's in school all week. She's in kindergarten now, you know what I mean? So like, and she does a lot of extracurriculars that when she is home, she just wants to like do her own thing.
Be home.
Yeah.
And be
just,
home, relax,
she
do what you want
goes
to
to
do.
her playroom or her bedroom and she will play for hours.
Yeah.
And like every once in a while she'll be like, hey mom, can I show you what I made? And I'm like, sure, all right. And I go and look, or can you get me something or whatever it is. But other than that, like
She is very independent.
yeah, she's good like that. She's good at, I feel like self-soothing was a huge thing for me when she was a baby. And I was very nervous of like the tail wagging the dog when, you know, first time parents, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the time they're like, oh my gosh, is this okay? Is this okay? Is it? And I was just like, I am not doing that. You start crying, I have 15 cameras on you. I know you're fed. I know you're changed. I know you're fine. You get 15 minutes to cry. If you haven't tired yourself out in 15 minutes, then I'll come in and check on you. But other than that, I'm like, and let me tell you, she was the best sleeper ever.
Yeah.
Self-soother.
That's exactly how I did it too. That's how I sleep trained. I did like short increments where like I would give her a few minutes and then go in, pat her, and then, okay, I'm going now. And yeah, at 3 months, she slept through the night. She was an awful, awful baby while she was awake, but while she was sleeping, at least she slept.
My daughter started sleeping through the night at 4 weeks. 4 weeks.
Wow.
I moved her from from the bassinet in our room, I moved it into her nursery, into her room.
Yeah.
And that was literally at the end of the 4
That's
weeks.
amazing.
As
Do you know
soon
how
as-
lucky you are?
Well, I also thought to myself, like, the longer she's in the room with us, the harder it's going to be for me to move her. You know, not for her, but for me.
Yes.
So I was like, listen, this is my, and I was never like a big, like, bring the kids in bed with me or anything like that.
I always said that was a hard boundary.
yeah, I was
hard
the
boundary.
same.
This is my space. This is where
I'm
I get to
feeling
rest.
like
okay?
attacked.
Go ahead. Let's have Nikki tell her.
Are you the
her
co-sleeper,
scene.
Nikki? Style. Are they still
I
in your
shouldn't be
bed?
touching that. Sorry. Yes, yes. I was the co-sleeper. He cried. Oh my God, he cried. I brought him in our bed.
Wait, but she wasn't a co. She still is a co-sleeper.
Yeah.
I still go in
That's
his
what
bed
happened.
at
Yeah.
6.
That's what happens.
And my two kids, my two boys are opposite in every single way that possibly could be opposite. They are so different. And Maverick is my youngest. He never needed me. He was in the bed just like you guys were talking about. He liked his crib very, very early on. My oldest, we cuddled, we slept with him, and he still needs me for pretty much everything. I mean, he's still calling me from the bathroom to wipe his butt. I'm like, you are in first grade.
Yeah, you got to get it
Dude,
together.
like, get it together. I hope he never
great.
listens to all these podcasts.
Oh my gosh, right? Mine do. It's fine.
yeah,
You're embarrassing, Mom.
Yeah.
I don't know, like you hear like horror stories of like, you know, your kids being like 15 years old still sleeping with their parents, and I'm like, I can't.
That's
I
not going
can't.
to happen.
But it's like once, like the at least that what they say, I don't even know who they is.
Our
whatever.
brother dated a girl who slept with her
Till she was
parents until she was
16.
16.
That's creepy.
It's weird. What are you
Yeah.
doing in bed with your parents
Why?
at 16 years old?
And then how do your parents like have any time to themselves? I cherish the time between when my kids go to bed and my husband and I can sit
Same.
on the couch
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like just sit. We don't even fucking talk.
Yep,
Like we
yeah,
just
just,
sit
like,
and
next to each other,
coexist. We're on our
chilling, right.
phones
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we're watching TV. But like I cherish that time.
Same.
And in early motherhood, like that was my saving grace. And I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have that.
Yep.
So like thank God I sleep trained.
Yeah, that I think goes a very, very long way. I don't know. Did you guys use the Snoo by any chance? It's a bassinet.
No.
Oh my God, that thing is a godsend. We should do a collab with them because I'm telling you right now, that thing is a godsend. My in-laws got us this Snoo bassinet, and it moves. It's got a swaddle thing. It's amazing.
It's like a
It's like a person, right?
Yes,
like it's
basically.
rocking you.
It's
like a
the
Cadillac
craziest.
of bassinets.
It's the freaking coolest bassinet ever. And after I used it with my daughter, every one of my friends who had a baby, I lent it out to them, and all of their kids sleep trained beautifully from that thing. I mean, it also helps.
It's a good thing to know for your New moms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
You can rent them.
What?
I just wish you could put your kids in it, but you
If I could put it in it now? No, I said the other day, you know what? I'm going to embarrass Maddox one more time. I said the other day to my husband, my son came home and he's like, I got to bring this ring to school tomorrow. I'm like, a ring for who? He picked it out as a prize at the dentist. And I was like, why are you bringing your ring to school? He's like, oh, I want to give it to this girl in my class. And I'm like, Mike, I said to Mike's my husband, I think I broke him. I'm like, he's already looking to get married at 6 because he never wants to sleep by himself. So yes, if there's a third, I'm gonna get a snoo.
I'm telling you, you can
Just
borrow
give it
mine.
to Alyssa, like in the beginning. She'll crack the whip and get it done.
I remember like my mom.
Training.
no,
give it back.
I'm done with babies.
Oh, girl,
Yes.
same.
Oh, I'm
She's done.
so
Yeah.
mother loving done with babies. It's not even funny. I love my two, but like I'm done.
I feel like because you guys had your kids like very close in age for the most part, what like the max is 2 years apart. That's not bad. Like that's you're still in the thick of it. So what's the difference if you throw one more in?
Right?
I feel like now with I don't know, my daughter's 5 now, so it's like the thought of having to go through that all over again to me is like, oh my God, we're already through it. I'm done wiping asses. I'm done with the diapers. I'm the giving them solid foods and being scared as shit that they're gonna choke. You know what I mean? Like all of that kind of thing. I don't know if I could do it again.
I definitely couldn't. So I had trouble getting pregnant with my daughter. Took me, I don't know, maybe like 2 years or so. I had to go on medication to get pregnant. So she was like, we were so thankful for it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just not gonna go on birth control because what's the worst thing that's gonna happen? I'm just gonna get pregnant again. That's probably not gonna happen for like 2 years. What do you know? Riley's 6 months old.
That's
so
crazy.
it's funny because when I got the positive pregnancy test with Riley, I was crying in the morning. I was so happy. And I woke Joe up with tears in my eyes and I'm like, you're gonna be your dad. And then I took the positive pregnancy test with Jay and I fucking threw it at him. Good job.
What did you do?
What are we gonna do now? So after
Better get your ass up and get to work.
So we went to the doctor and the doctor was like, you think it was easy getting pregnant with baby number 2? Number 3 is even easier. He said, you better be careful. So I said, Joe, get the fuck away from me.
Don't touch me.
And then I got rid of all of our baby stuff after he was born and I'm like, I'm done. We're done with that phase of life. So like we just got a puppy.
Nice.
I'm entering an era of like just taking care of animals.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Once again, total opposites because this one is obsessed with babies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Do you want to have more?
I would.
Yeah.
I would wait a little bit, but I would. I would like to. Just one more. Just
Okay.
one more. Why not?
I feel like
Add
you're
to
gonna
the
say that every
craziness.
time. Like she'll have another one. Just put one more. I mean,
It's fine.
you know what? I have to say, I see some people. Well, we know some people who have like 4 kids. You know what I mean? And I'm like, we were 4 kids. I loved
We were
that.
4 kids in 5 years. So like
Yeah.
your pregnancies, that was our mom. Like we're all like
She was like
15
pregnant
months apart.
for like
yeah.
5 years straight.
How did she survive?
I don't know. We still
This
don't
woman,
know.
we had no alcohol in the house. That woman didn't drink. She didn't take Xanax. Like she didn't. Stoned, sober. I don't know how she survived. It does explain a lot, though. Now,
does.
you know
It
what I
does.
mean? Like you got to lose some of your marbles after like doing that
That's
for
a
so
whole
long.
nother episode.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, it makes sense. It's
Yeah.
justifiable. If I had to deal with 4 kids stoned, sober,
No,
I would
could not.
I don't.
No, did you guys watch the show Parenthood? They had 4 kids, and I remember watching that dynamic, and I was like, "That's beautiful." But then I had my second, and I'm like, "JK, good."
4 feels like a lot.
4 feels like a lot.
It's nice though. I mean, like I see, like our cousin Brian, for example. He had 4 beautiful kids, 3
Yeah.
boys and a little girl, and they are like their family is just beautiful.
But they're not as close together as we were. They're like
No.
spaced out a little more. So now like you have the older ones helping with
Yeah.
the younger ones, and it's kind of
That's
it's a
my
different
goal.
dynamic and nice. Yeah, yeah, I get that.
Life goal.
I get that. Yeah, then you don't have to do
then
it
it's just
yourself.
like kids raising kids.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, we had that. too.
Hours.
we did.
Yeah.
We did.
All right, so tell me more about your community, how you guys are helping to support these women. I know you have your Instagram page. Obviously, you're doing the podcast. I've seen events that you host. Tell us like what's going on and how people can be a part of this, especially if they need support.
Yeah, so when we started the podcast, the whole goal was not just thinking about us. We were thinking about this so-called village that Nikki and I didn't really think, but Nikki thought that like was just gonna show up at the door. Like, hey, I'm here. How can I help you? What can I do? Do you need support? How are you feeling? Like that doesn't happen. And I think we were both just shocked in motherhood of how lonely it was. And, you know, I was home with my 2 kids, so like I did have other people to talk to. Like I had my kids to talk to. It's not the same at all.
No.
So our whole thing was like, we want to create this village that doesn't exist and bring these people together, bring these moms together. You don't have to be a mom to come to our event because we just love supporting other women in business that, you know, are working their asses off because that's hard too. So we just do like fun events. Our first one was a dance at a studio in Toms River, and then we did a yoga class, a sound bowls, and we did a paint and sip.
And now we're doing a self-defense class.
Yeah.
I saw that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like that's right up your alley. I feel like
I can see that.
You and I together could be trouble. Like,
Yeah.
couple cocktails and our mouths, we could
Get in trouble. Absolutely. Alyssa's like, yes.
Well, don't get Nikki drunk. She's a handful.
I want to see.
We just met one of our upcoming guests. Should I tell the audience how? Because we were leaving a networking event that
We usually take turn, like when we go to the networking events, like one of us will get a little toasted and the other one will be like networking.
Right. And usually Alyssa's the toasted one. And
Typically I'm toasty.
And every once in a while I'm feeling a little bit spicy, but like the problem is I go from 0 to 100. So like there's no.
She's like, I'm out of the house. We gotta get some free. Give me all the booze.
There's no in between. It was shots that night.
I totally agree with that.
I jumped into, the girl was like cleaning up from the event and she had put like all these desserts into a wagon. And the girls who were hosting the events, they were like, oh, we have this after party. And I'm like, woohoo, after party, let's go, we're going. So like our friend who was work the next morning is like, no guys, we gotta go home. And I'm like, no, we're going to the after party. So as this girl is like trailing all these desserts out, I jump into the wagon and like sloshed all the desserts that she's carrying out. And now in 2 weeks, she's coming on our podcast.
I love
it. We're connected.
That's amazing.
Like, so sorry.
Yeah, can I just say, there was no after party. They literally told her there was an after party to get her off of the boat.
Yes, that's actually happened.
Because we went to another networking event with the same like community of women, and they were like, oh, we're really sorry. We just had to get you off the boat.
They admitted it.
It's actually brilliant.
We had our own after party though. We
still
took
went
some
out.
shots, whatever.
Good.
But then we saw the girl there who she jumped in the wagon, who we thought she was so mad.
Yeah, we're like,
Because
oh my
like,
God.
Oh, no.
wouldn't you be mad if you were pushing a tray of desserts and someone just jumped in? Like,
Probably.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We didn't even really know her.
Yeah.
She wasn't mad.
She wasn't mad at
That's
all.
awesome.
We have the same energy,
she's a cool
actually.
girl, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, she's coming on our podcast in a few weeks, and she's like, we ended up having this conversation, and I said if I never did that, we may have never spoke to each other.
Yeah.
You'd never
So,
cross
like,
paths.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
It's right.
True. I agree with that 100%.
Drunk dessert diving. You know.
Whatever. Whatever gets them together.
That's so funny. So how do you guys deal with, like, especially in your network, I'm assuming too, your lives are evolving a bit as the kids are getting older, so you're probably meeting mom groups through sports and other like activities that your kids are starting to do. What do you do like when you come across a difficult one? Has this happened yet?
A difficult mom.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't vibe with other
Yeah.
moms, right? And doesn't mean you have to be a dick, right? But like, how do you handle it?
I'm usually a dick.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say I'd be ice.
I went to a birthday party recently, and one of the moms just like had no, you know when people just don't have, like they can't read the room.
Yeah.
Like we're not friends. We're here because our kids are here together. And she started talking about politics, and I'm like, I just got up, and I'm like, peace. I'm gonna go to another table.
Fair enough.
I mean,
Yeah, Alyssa's more like cutthroat.
That's
So like if she doesn't dig it, she doesn't dig it. You have to like the person. I feel like.
Absolutely. I'm just not, I don't phone it in. Like if I don't like you,
You're not gonna even
I'm just
engage.
gonna distance myself.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm gonna be mean to everyone, but like if we don't mesh, then we don't mesh, and that's fine.
Yeah,
Not
there's nothing wrong
everyone
with
is
that.
supposed to mesh with everyone, right?
agree.
And Nikki has a hard time understanding that because she wants everyone to be.
I want everything to be peachy, but I have stipulations. Energy. Energy is big for me. So if somebody's energy is off, then I'm not like gonna follow up. Maybe like I'll talk to them if we're in the same room.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna be my best friend. They're not gonna be like, come over, have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But that's like usually based on my energy and vibes from just meeting people.
And she's come a long way
I'll
since
be
we
interested
started.
in like following up with you guys in a couple years as the kids get older, because as my kids are older now, this is one of the things that I struggle with the most is like the parent meshing, and you're with these people, especially when they're committed to sports and things that like you're doing all the time. You're committed to these people and you're with them for hours every day of the week, all day on the weekends. And I have a hard time like being fake. So I do very much like if I'm not vibing with you, I just keep to myself too.
But you go the extra mile to be extra nice to
I do. I really do try to just be kind to everyone. I think too, when you put yourself out on a public platform like we all do, it's like I don't need people judging me or making assumptions about me in anything other than what I truly am, because to your point, authenticity is key in this environment. So I do try to be very much myself, but I've also reached like a point in life where I don't give a fuck. And so like if you don't vibe with me, like I'm not gonna pretend. Like I just
It's so
Love
funny.
that energy.
We had this conversation literally on the ride here. How like Nikki a year ago cared so much about what everyone thinks. Like is this jacket? Is this okay? Is this me?
When we took our first photo shoot for the podcast, I like bought like an entire wardrobe, and I asked Alyssa like a million times, what looks like me? She's like, I don't know what the hell looks like you. Go look in the mirror. What do you think? And I'm like, but does it look good? Like, does it like represent me? And she's like, you are the only person that knows you.
yeah, really.
And I feel like the hard part by having a podcast where you're very authentic and very real and vulnerable about things is that people think they also know everything about your life.
Yes.
Okay?
Very much.
So like for me, it's very disheartening when somebody just assumes that they know everything I'm putting on the podcast is everything about my personal life. Yeah. No. I have a family.
Sure.
And I have to have some set of boundaries and some set of respect. And I feel like what I've run into over the last year is a lot of Nikki, this people-pleasing, nice person, is really only talking to her podcast audience now and not talking to her ones that she cares about. That's not true. It's an assumption. That was a battle that like really, I mean, it had me, I say this all the time, our partnership is the best thing that ever could have happened. I'm sure you ladies agree. Like we bounce off of each other. There has been so many times that I've said to Alyssa, I can't do this anymore. Or she'll say, I can't do this anymore. And then something will change it, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I feel like that has been something, as somebody who likes to make everybody happy, that I've had to just let go, having a podcast.
Yeah.
always be a people
And doing what we're doing.
Yeah. And I think to your point, like people do make a lot of assumptions, and those who know me.
Yes.
Right? And same for you, I would say.
Same.
Like people know
Could care the fuck
who we
less,
are.
honestly.
I don't care.
I don't care. It
That's what
still
we,
irks me that people make assumptions.
Yes.
Make your assumptions.
It really is.
And
That's
rolling.
what I say.
Fuck
I'm like,
off.
who cares?
Really? Go worry about yourself.
Let them
I'm
be.
not worried so much about the talking or anything. Like I could care less about like gossip or any of that sort
Yeah.
of shit because I know who I am.
Yeah.
I think it's more of like I don't know. It's different than that. It's like
more in your, I feel like for me, it's like more in my head. Like I just want people to not assume that I'm a certain way, but then I'm like listening to Alyssa on the way here. She's like, who cares?
I
what
know.
They assume? And I'm
Me and
like,
you, babe. I could
it's
give
a very-
two shits.
yep.
I don't.
I'm trying so hard to be no fucks given, but I
Yeah.
do give fucks about things. Because I get
fresh
wanna
out
be
of
a
fucks.
bitch.
I'm so out of
Fresh
fucks.
out of fucks.
I just
I
think that,
promise
like,
you.
well, I don't know.
But I literally, so before we recorded this today, ladies, I went on like a dive through your Instagram and like looked at some of your reels and stuff. And I think you posted the one about the vibrations, right? And I feel like I run such high vibrations, like animals. I like to heal people. I like am surrounded by toxic
me.
individuals. Like,
Yep.
that's just comes with being special. I don't know. I don't know what I want to call it.
I know.
But
Yes,
I
I so
watched
get it.
that and I resonated so much with you. And I think that's what sparked our conversation today was because I used to be so hard on myself for all those things. My mom would say to me, you can't drag a horse to water. Because my mom is like I don't give a fuck about anything. And I'd be like, she'd be like, stop fixing people. Stop trying to worry about you. Stay in your own lane.
Yep.
It's so much harder than you.
I know.
It's easy for you guys to be like, yeah, just do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't always this
Yeah.
way, though. I growing up, I cared so much about what everyone thought of me, even in early motherhood. And I think that was one of the things that I needed to heal from was in early motherhood. If like my babies were crying, I automatically was like, oh my God, I'm a terrible mom. Everyone knows I'm a terrible mom. Everyone thinks I'm a terrible mom. And like I would spiral. And now that like I've evolved, I've healed, I've grown, I'm like, think I'm a bad mom as long as my kids know that I love them.
Yeah.
My husband knows I love them.
Yeah.
Everything else is just fucking noise. So say what you want to say.
Yeah.
It literally doesn't matter.
Completely agree with you.
And it's ebbs and flows, I think, too. And as the kids get older and become smarter and the drama that they experience then shifts and changes, boys versus girls, like it's an ongoing roller coaster of life, I feel like. So, and I just know that I so much appreciate this because we are all in it together, and to just have a place to go to vent even, or like talk to people who might get it, might not get it, but can relate, we can all help each other. And so I think it's really amazing what you guys are doing.
Thank you. We always say like, we're at this stage, but there are people that are behind us.
Yep.
And we want to hold their hand. And then there are people in front of us who like we can look up to or like see what we would do differently than what they're doing. But like we're all in this together. This motherhood is a journey, and we shouldn't be like pitted against each other. We should just come together. Not everyone's going to do everything the same way. Nikki and I are polar opposites. We did everything differently in motherhood. And yet we still supported each other, like with her co-sleeping. Like, I don't give a shit if you co-sleep. I'm not waking up in the middle of the night.
I know.
That's you,
exactly.
babe, not
That's
me.
on you. Don't fuck with my bed.
They're not sleeping in my
Whatever,
house.
yeah.
But
You're not in my bed. I don't care.
yeah.
That's what it's all about, though. I feel like we say it all the time that support is just the most important. You don't have to agree, but to be there for each other is
Yeah,
the most
and be
important.
kind.
And be kind.
And I think everybody has their own reasons for doing the things that they do. I mean, whether it's, from your own upbringing or, things you experienced or just exhaustion or whatever. It could be a million different things.
Yeah.
But people are I would say moms at least, are doing the best they can.
We're all doing the best we can.
Yeah.
1,000,000%.
Everybody's just doing the best they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all you can do.
That's it. And that's what we want to keep at the forefront of everyone's minds. When they listen to our
Absolutely.
podcast is like, there's no wrong way to do things. There's no right way to do things. We're not telling you that you have to do things this way. We're just saying, let's all be supportive of one another because you don't know what anyone's going through.
And sharing your experiences.
And
Yeah,
then
it's so
sharing.
therapeutic
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. And you do never know who you're going to help and who you're going to save. So
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys are
Thank you,
amazing.
ladies.
Thank you.
So everyone check out, please, Mind Over Mom on Instagram. They're on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. They have a newsletter that they put out. This is, I assume, an evolution of your blog that started. So lots of really great information for moms, no matter what phase you're in. And give them a follow and check it out.
Thanks for tuning in this week, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for being here.
Bye.
Bye.